The Bradford City Stadium fire. It was supposed to be a day of celebration for Bradford City Football Club. The team had just secured promotion to the 3rd Division, and thousands of fans filled the Valley Parade Stadium for a match against Lincoln City. The atmosphere was electric, and the crowd was full of joy, unaware that tragedy was about to strike.
And we've actually got a fire in the stand on the far side of the ground. And that looks very nasty indeed.
Towards the end of the first half, a sudden, horrifying event unfolded. A fire broke out in the main stand, where hundreds of fans were seated. The flames quickly spread, and within moments, the situation turned from celebration to chaos. The fire spread rapidly through the wooden structure of the stand, engulfing it in flames. The live TV cameras, recording the match for audiences at home, captured the terror as it unfolded. As the fire raged, panic set in. The exits were too few, and the crowd too large. Fans, trapped by the flames and smoke, desperately tried to escape. The sight of people running, coughing, and falling in the chaos was horrifying, and it all played out live on television, searing the tragedy into the memories of millions. By the time the fire was finally extinguished, 56 people had lost their lives, and more than 200 were injured. The stadium, once full of life, was left charred and desolate. It remains one of the deadliest disasters in British sporting history. But it wasn't just the fire that shocked the world. It was the fact that the tragedy was unfolding live, broadcast for the whole world to witness. (1992) Ghostwatch incident. On Halloween night in 1992, the BBC aired a television program that would forever change the landscape of live TV and horror entertainment. What was intended as a harmless, spooky special quickly became one of the most disturbing incidents in television history. Ghostwatch was billed as a live investigation into paranormal activity. Hosted by veteran BBC presenters Mike Smith and Sarah Green, it featured a team of experts investigating reports of a haunted house in North London. The program was designed to mimic a live news broadcast, blending reality and fiction. At first, everything seemed harmless enough. The audience watched the crew enter the house, where strange phenomena like loud banging noises and flickering lights were reported. But things began to take a more unsettling turn as the night went on. What viewers didn't know was that this live investigation was entirely scripted, and these so-called supernatural events were meticulously staged. Then came the most disturbing twist of all. The hosts themselves seemed to be affected by the supernatural forces in the house. As the night wore on, both Sarah Green and Mike Smith appeared to lose control. Sarah, once calm and composed, began to exhibit erratic behavior. Her voice became strange and distant. Mike Smith, too, was visibly shaken, and at one point, he was even seen seemingly possessed by the malevolent spirit known as Pipes. The hosts, once in control of the broadcast, were now spiraling into a terrifying frenzy. Viewers were thrown into chaos, not knowing whether they were watching a carefully staged hoax or something genuinely terrifying.
Wandering around the garden like a teddy bear.
By the time the broadcast ended, the damage had already been done. Many viewers, especially children, were horrified. The program caused an immediate public outcry, with people believing that they had witnessed a real haunting. The BBC received an overwhelming number of phone calls, some even reporting that viewers had been so disturbed they couldn't sleep or were left feeling genuinely terrified. The fallout was more severe than anyone could have predicted. Tragically, a teenage viewer took his own life shortly after the broadcast, reportedly deeply affected by the events of Ghostwatch. It is believed that the disturbing nature of the program combined with his own personal struggles, led him to this devastating decision, leaving me behind this note. If there is ghosts, I will now be one, and I will always be with you as one. His death was a sobering reminder of how profoundly media can affect viewers, especially when boundaries between fiction and reality become blurred. And to this day, Ghostwatch remains one of the most infamous examples of TV gone too far. It all began on October 13, 2008, in the city of Santo André, Brazil. Eloá Pimentel, a 15-year-old high school student, was taken hostage by her ex-boyfriend Lindenberg Alves inside her home. Alves, who was 22, had been emotionally unstable and had been obsessed with Eloá after their breakup. The situation quickly escalated into a standoff as Lindenberg held Eloá and her friend Nayara captive inside the house. Police and negotiators arrived at the scene, hoping to resolve the situation peacefully. But as hours passed, the tension grew, and the eyes of Brazil were glued to their TV screens as the entire standoff was broadcast live. As the hours turned into days, Lindenberg's behavior became increasingly erratic. He allowed Eloá's family and even some of her friends to speak with her on the phone, but it was clear that his mental state was deteriorating. Meanwhile, the media coverage intensified, with news channels airing live footage of the situation, sometimes broadcasting Lindenberg's threats and demands in real time. But tragically, in the heat of the moment, mistakes were made by both the police and the media. Police allowed live broadcasts to continue, with cameras capturing details that would have been better kept private. The constant media coverage created immense pressure on the police negotiators, and it seemed to provoke Lindenberg further. The decision to keep airing the standoff live only added fuel to the fire. After over 100 hours of negotiation, the situation reached its tragic climax. Lindenberg, now completely unstable, opened fire. He shot Eloá in the head, and Nayara was also injured. The police stormed the house in an attempt to save the hostages, but it was too late. Eloá was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to her injuries. But Nayara miraculously survived. The world watched in horror as the crisis came to a devastating end. Lindenberg, convicted of murder and attempted murder, he was sentenced to more than 30 years in prison. The Eloá Pimentel hostage crisis is a heartbreaking reminder of the dangerous power that live television can have, especially when emotions and fragile situations are played out in real time. It's a tragedy that will never be forgotten, and one that should serve as a warning to both the media and the authorities in future crisis situations. These are live TV's darkest moments.